Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about polynomial multiplication. Last Thursday, you guys took a look at multiplying two binomials. For today, we're really just reviewing that to make sure everyone's on the same page as far as how to multiply two binomials together, because as this week goes on, we'll be working with multiplying polynomials of different dimensions. Okay, so our objective today is to multiply binomials and be able to write the product in standard form. So our steps here, first thing that we're going to do is rewrite each polynomial in standard form. For today, we're going to stick with polynomials that are given in standard form. And then as the week goes on, we'll take a look at some polynomials that are not in standard form. Our second step is going to be to distribute each term in the first polynomial to each term in the second polynomial. So depending on which method that you use, you might be using the FOIL method, or how it's written here, the vertical method, or you could be using the box method. Either way, you're using the distributive property. And then finally, you're going to combine like terms and write your final answer in standard form. So as long as you start in standard form, then your final answer, once you distribute, you're going to have some like terms that you'll be able to combine, and then it should already be in standard form for you. All right, so let's take a look at our first example. So for our first example here, we have x minus 4 times x plus 3. Now these are in standard form already, so you can just leave them. And the first method that I'm going to show you is the vertical method, or what we talked about last week, the FOIL method. Remember that the FOIL method stands for firsts, outers, inners, lasts. And then after you multiply them, look for like terms to combine, and then combine like terms and write your final answer. All right, so let's start with our first terms. So our first terms are x times x, which is going to give us x squared. Then we move on to our outers, which is x and 3. So x times 3 is 3x. Then we move on to our inner terms. So negative 4 times x is negative 4x. And then finally, we move on to our last terms. So the last terms are negative 4 and 3. So negative 4 times 3 gives us negative 12. Now, as long as your polynomials, or in this case, binomials, are in standard form to begin with, when you multiply, these inner terms, so the 3x minus 4x, should always be like terms. So those are going to be the terms that you combine. So our final answer is going to be x squared. We're going to combine like terms here. 3x minus 4x is negative x, and then minus 12. Okay, moving on to the second method, the box method. Now, I know some of you probably prefer the box method. Some may prefer the FOIL method. When you're actually doing the weekly assignment, it's really up to you which method you want to use. Both work great. It's really just your preference. Okay, so for the box method, remember, you line up each of the cells. So for this top left box, you're going to be multiplying x and x, which will give you x squared. Then we move on to the top right, which is going to be x times negative 4, or negative 4x. The bottom left, 3 times x is 3x. And then the bottom right, 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the lattice method, lattice method for multiplication, as long as you write your polynomials in standard form to begin with and account for any missing terms, on the diagonals here should be all of your like terms. So those are going to be the terms that you combine. So we'll start in the top left. We have x squared. 3x minus 4x is negative x, and then minus 12. So what you notice is we get the same answer as we did using the FOIL method or the vertical method. All right, moving on to number 2. So for number 2, we're multiplying x minus 5 times x plus 5. Again, this is already in standard form for you. So we'll jump right into multiplying. So we'll multiply our first terms. X times x is x squared. Then we'll multiply our outer terms. So x times 5 is 5x. Multiply our inner terms. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And then multiply our last terms. Negative 5 times 5, negative 25. Again, we're going to look to see if we have like terms. Because we had it set up in standard form, our like terms are right in the middle right there. So we have x squared. 5x minus 5x is 0x, so we don't have to write anything. Those cancel. Minus 25. Now, when something like that occurs, when you have the two middle terms that cancel, what the result is a difference of perfect squares. So when we did factoring and you had something like x squared minus 25, we knew that to factor that, because they're both perfect squares and we're taking the difference, we're going to take the square root of 25, which is 5, which is where we get the x minus 5 and the x plus 5. All right, moving on to the box method. X times x is x squared. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. 5 times x is 5x. And then negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. Again, on the diagonal, those are going to be your like terms that you're combining. So your final answer is going to be x squared. 5x minus 5x is 0x minus 25. All right, moving on to the final example. So this one's only slightly different because we have a coefficient of x here, but you're still going to follow the exact same method. So for our vertical method, multiply 2x and x, that gives us 2x squared. Multiply your outers, 2x times negative 2 is negative 4x. Then multiply 3 by x, so plus 3x. And then 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Now we'll combine like terms in the middle. Negative 4x plus 3x is negative x. So your final answer is going to be 2x squared minus x minus 6. All right, and moving on to the box method. So x times 2x is 2x squared. 3 times x is 3x. Negative 2 times 2x is negative 4x. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Again, combine like terms on the diagonal. So your final answer is 2x squared. Negative 4x plus 3x is negative x minus 6. All right, so that is everything with multiplying binomials by binomials. Please complete the problems on the weekly assignment that are for Monday. And tomorrow we'll be taking a look at multiplying binomials and trinomials. Have a great day, everyone.